Michael Van Runkle here for HotCars.com. I'm here with a Dino 246 GTS. This is Steven Posner of Putnam Leasing, and he's giving me a chance to drive one of my absolute dream cars. So Steven, thanks for having me here.
You're most welcome.
I grew up with one of these things as one of only 2 model cars that I owned on my shelf. So this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's get in there and fire this Ferrari engine up. There we go.
Man knows his car.
We've got the owners watching us, the lessors, I guess we would say.
The lessor and the lessee.
So push it down into reverse. I'm gonna try and go backwards a little bit here. Oh, nice smooth clutch. Perfectly intuitive. And then first is down. It's a classic Ferrari gated shifter, and we do not have power steering. Got to take this little lip a little gently. The clutch is actually really smooth.
It's a smooth clutch.
I'm impressed.
It's not like the 512 Boxer,
Yeah.
which is another favorite car of mine except to drive. Very, very, very tough clutch.
Yeah. So the only other Ferrari with a gated shifter that I've driven was an F355 Berlinetta.
Yes.
Also had the T-top style roof. This is a GTS, and the S signifies that open roof,
Correct.
which is perfect for a day up here in Topanga.
Yes.
So how did you end up getting this car?
Steve told me that he wanted a Dino.
Yeah.
That was his lifelong dream.
Steve is the current lessor, but he says it's a lease for life.
It's a lease for life. It's a lease to own. So through my connections, I found this car for him from another collector that's on our books, leases cars from us. I went to look at it. It was in Connecticut. Took a bunch of pictures, but I knew this was the car for him.
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous. Black on black never looks good in photos, but I love black cars.
Yes, me too.
And it really accentuates the epic lines of the Dino designed by Pininfarina. It's just absolutely spectacular. It reflects the sun up here, reflects the blue sky, reflects me trying to film. And I mean, it just makes it look like the small car that it is. And driving it now, I can tell you, it's a small car. We're not too close shoulder to shoulder, but we're really far down, close to the ground. And I love that feeling.
Yeah, we definitely are. Although I tell you,
going around some trucks here. We got a guy helping us out.
it's not as low as other sports cars that when you go up on a lift, you're afraid that you're going to bottom out in the front.
Yeah.
It's low, but it's not that low.
No front axle lift on old Ferraris. All the new ones come with that, though.
Yeah, they do. It's an option, but it's an option you definitely want.
Oh, 100%. The Corvette I just hopped out of has it, and I've scraped the lip a bunch of times, and Chevy's just going to have to deal with it. But I didn't have that problem coming out of that little dirt turnout. In fact, I was surprised that it felt really smooth, and overall, we're on a pretty rough road. I've driven this road a million times, and the ride is smooth. I was expecting like almost race car style, early Porsche, just tight and unpleasant, but it's pretty nice, and the feel of no power steering is probably the best thing about old cars.
There is a kit that you can turn these old non-power steering cars into cars with power steering for not a lot of money, and you could always have it removed to keep the authenticity in place on the car.
Well, that certainly makes it a lot easier to drive as sort of a city car, but out here in the canyons, I would not want power steering, especially this car probably weighs, what, 2,200 pounds, something like that.
Probably a little more.
Yeah. Well, it's got the transverse mounted Dino V6 that would later go on to power the Lancia Stratos race car. And there's a story about how Ferrari, that's Enzo Ferrari, never wanted to make a V6 powered car originally. He said, no way, we're gonna stick with V12s. But then his son, who had what they called wasting away muscles at the time.
Muscular dystrophy.
Muscular dystrophy, we call it now. Passed away early on, and Enzo, famously cantankerous, relented and made this car, which ended up being one of the most famous Ferraris of all time. And now arguably the 296 is the modern Dino. If you look at it, it's got a V6, it's a hybrid, it's low, and they've just come out with the open top version with a very familiar design to the roll bar there.
The lines on the Dino are like nothing else on any other Ferraris.
Yeah, it's just a perfect design for a classic sports car. The only car with a profile I would compare to it is a Porsche 904, and those were even smaller. And I don't know if collectors would be more interested in those, given the Porsche boom these days, or in a Dino. Now, are you seeing a lot of Porsche buyers using Putnam Leasing to get into the Porsche market these days?
Absolutely, especially the older ones, the old 911s, and also the newer ones, the 918s, the GT3s.
Yeah.
The prices of these cars are prohibitively expensive in today's market. So why not use a company like ours and use our money to subsidize your passion?
Yeah, and that's the fun part about this hobby, is that there are many ways to own a car. I always buy the cheapest thing I can find on Craigslist and build it up, but for people who want to put the money down and buy a car, it can be prohibitively expensive, especially today, which makes a company like Putnam Leasing all the more attractive when you can lease to own or just lease a car. And so we've got Steve, the owner of this Dino, not Steven, and he's basically able to have his dream car and presumably not have to fork over the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it takes to buy one of these in today's collector market.
And that's true, and because he's a resident of California, he doesn't pay all his sales tax up front as if he was to buy it.
Yeah.
In the state of California and many other states here in this country, you pay your sales tax incrementally on your monthly payments.
Very interesting. Little details about car buying you don't learn while shopping on Craigslist.
No, definitely not.
But I'll tell you right now, I think Steve must love this car because it just drives so well. I'm doing like little heel towing while downshifting. It has none of that notchiness and impossibility of early Porsche gearboxes. It's just actually pretty just drivable. I just hopped in, cranked it a couple times, gave it some gas, fired up, and it felt very natural. That's probably why people love Ferraris. It's just, you feel connected to the car and connected to the road in a way that other brands just haven't always been able to manufacture in their cars.
So what's wonderful about the Dino is it's a 6-cylinder car. It has power, plenty of power, but it's not a 12-cylinder car.
Yeah.
But when you're in it and you're driving it, the sound of the engine behind you feels like you're in a chariot and the horses are just pumping themselves, and the feeling is just exhilarating.
It's a ton of fun, 100%. It's so low, the steering is perfect, it's right on center, and then you get the resistance as you turn. It gets a little bit of body roll, and we got the open top going. It's a beautiful day in California. I feel like I'm in Austin Powers or something. It's just, and of course the sound is intoxicating. No power assist brakes, so you gotta put a little muscle into it like they used to in the old days. Oh, it's just a ton of fun. I'm shifting usually around 4,000, 4,500 RPMs. Not trying to go out and redline Steve's Dino, but it's got a lot of power even when I get down to like 2200, 2500 coming out of these curves. I should be downshifting more aggressively, but I don't want to miss a gear with the gated shifter. The gated shifter does take a little getting used to. When I've driven gator shifter cars in the past, it's sort of like you place it in neutral, find your gear, and place it in that gear again, instead of going like a bang shift like you would in a modern sports car. But it's just part of the fun, and obviously the gated shifter looks really good too.
And you get used to it as you're driving it.
Oh, totally. I'm amazed at how quickly I got used to this. In fact, when I drove the F355, I never got comfortable in that car. It was a great car, but it was sort of like a modern Ferrari, right on the cusp of a modern Ferrari. And this one, for some reason, I feel more comfortable driving, which is sort of ironic given that I was born in 1988. We do sort of have that short leg, long arm driving position, so you can see my arms are pretty extended. Well, we had our camera die because it's a nice hot day here in Topanga. A cool part about this car is it does have air conditioning, though we don't have the AC blowing because we got the top off. And apparently that was a package. You could get the air conditioning and
power windows
in one package, which is, you know, for 72, that's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, it definitely is pretty cool.
AC is a huge deal for me. I'm obsessed with ventilated seats. I think they're
thing with me.
The best invention in automotive technology of the past 10 years, 20 years. So you were saying you help people get their dream cars at an affordable rate that they can make happen today. And what do you drive when you're at home?
What do I drive? I have a lot of different cars.
Of course.
I have a 911, an air-cooled 911, 560 SL, a Bentley Flying Spur, only because it's full-time four-wheel drive. A 1985 Mercedes 300 TD wagon that I will never sell. My kids will hate me. I tell them when they get old enough, I'm going to teach them how to drive in that car.
Oh, is that a threat?
I just have to figure out how to put airbags in that old car.
Oh, there you go. No, does it have power steering though?
Yes, it definitely has power steering and air conditioning and a manual sunroof.
Oh, that's cool. I love manual everything, although air conditioning and power windows definitely sounds good to me in the 72 Ferrari.
Right.
Oh.
So Putnam, there's a bunch of ways that you can get to Putnam. We are also sponsors of the Gooding auction.
Oh yeah. You were saying you go to a lot of auctions.
We do. We're sponsors to probably the premier auction company in the country. We also do a lot of dealer business throughout the United States. We have salespeople throughout the United States that can help you finance your dream car, actually lease your dream car.
Well, I apologize that not everybody gets to come out and just drive their dream car as part of a media opportunity. But let me tell you, if you have the chance to get a Dino and that's your dream car, highly recommend contacting this guy because this car is just absolutely amazing. It's surreal, and then I wasn't expecting it to be as good as I imagined, and somehow it is. The shifter is good, the brakes are good, the steering is good, the sound is good, the smell is good. Everything about it is exactly what you imagine from the best cars in the world. And that guy knows it. I hope you learned something watching this video of me driving my first Dino. I want to thank you, Steven, for allowing me this opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. What a lot of fun.
Ton of fun. Thank you for watching, and as always, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Thanks.